Hello YouTube friends, as requested per gram, I'm doing an updated video on my green water recipe. That was a 2-liter bottle that I clean and reuse each time, a 53 micron sieve, a 120 micron sieve, and a 250 micron sieve, some prepared seawater, a coffee bean grinder, some containers, those are just half-gallon pitchers, a glass container for mixing and a couple of spoons, a funnel, and some cool mix. That mixture is freeze-dried artemia and mysis shrimp and some other algae to add extra nutrition. Spirulina, which is one of the most nutritious food items on the planet, both for ocean animals and land creatures, including humans. And then some enhanced flakes with probiotics. Those are the dry ingredients. And then I'm also adding Celcon, Vitachem, and some garlic liquid, concentrated, and some highly unsaturated fatty acids or Huffa powder. When that's gone, I won't replenish that. I'll just use the Celco. But I start off by putting all the dry ingredients in the coffee bean grinder. I have a plastic teaspoon, so that's the measure that I'm using for each amount of the dry ingredients that I'm putting in. And there's the Huffa powder. Like I said, when that's gone, I'm not going to replace it. I think I'm just going to use the Celco. Then I grind up the ingredients for a minute or two to make them as fine as possible. And then I use my little brush that actually came with this particular coffee bean grinder, and I try to get out all the particles from the lid and from the inside of the coffee bean grinder. Just as much as possible. Then my powder is sitting there in my glass jar, and I add a little bit of seawater, just enough so that the smallest particles will dissolve. I mix it up, and I do let this sit for a little while, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, stirring it occasionally, just so that those smaller particles dissolve. Then I pour it through the 53 micron sieve, and even with the breakdown, you can see that it did pull out some larger particles. And I do this in layers so none of the sieves gets too clogged up. This is the 120 micron sieve. And you'll notice with using this sieve that the water's having a little bit harder time getting through. So I have to use a spoon and coax the water down through the little holes. And if you're not aware, the larger the number on a sieve, the smaller the hole spaces. So there was quite a bit left of sediment in that 120 sieve. And then I pour the ingredients one more time into the 250 micron sieve, whose holes are even closer together or smaller. And there's a lot left over there. But even so, you're going to see by the time I finish stirring out as much water as I can from the sieve, it's still pretty green and dark, and it's very concentrated. So I take my funnel and I pour the liquid that I was able to get through the sieves into the bottle. And now this is the very finest particles, and these will be small enough for baby brine shrimp to ingest. And then I add more seawater to top off the 2-liter bottle to create my supply. And it's still pretty dark. Look at how dark that water is, because that was a very concentrated mix. And this will last me about a month. I do keep it in the refrigerator. And now this time I'm adding 20 drops of Vitachem, which has a concentration of vitamin C and other vitamins, and it's good for overall health and regeneration. I'm putting in 10 drops of Celco, which has the Huffas in them, plus some vitamins, and it's good for immunity. And then I'm adding the garlic liquid, and I put 5 drops in that, which attracts appetite and also naturally keeps parasites at bay. When I'm finished adding all the ingredients, I shake up my mixture, and then I'm going to add it here to some hatched baby brine shrimp. My mixture is going. And look at the color of the shrimp, and I'm going to start adding the enrichment mixture. I'm looking for it to turn color. See how it gets a tinge of color there? It's a little bit darker. You don't need a lot. If you add too much, you'll pollute it, or a lot of it will just get wasted because it will bubble up on the edges and just sit in your vessel. And then I put my mixture in a refrigerator, and like I said, it lasts me 2 weeks to a month, but it is highly nutritious feed for the babies who are doing very well. Thanks so much for watching my updated recipe. Thanks, Graham. Hope to see you next time. Take care.